And it's now time for the Morning Watch with Mr. Stokeley Marshall. Morning Watch is brought to you by Home and Things, your construction finishes superstore.
Power in great moments. If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live in the main watch today. The other side of a woman's success. In the second watch, men in sheep's clothing. In our social media question, we ask, how should the Christian church preach to and minister to men who identify as women and to women who identify as men? Share your responses in our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote is an inspirational quote, and it reads, "No woman wants to be in submission to a man who isn't in submission to God." And this quote is by the great T.D. Jakes.
Well, Jukal,
Mm-hmm.
this is a very deep one because so many men are not in submission to God.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
It's very unfortunate.
too many of us men are not in submission to God. That must be corrected.
Yeah.
Good morning, Jukal. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Looking forward
Perfect.
to a very good and informative show today. Looking forward to it, and I wish you all the best for the day, Jukal.
Yes,
Listeners,
you too. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. And of course, same for the listeners. Listeners, we'll be right back at the morning watch.
The Morning Watch is also brought to you by Chris and Charles. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Miss B, how you doing?
Oh, hi there, Lizzie. Look good, you know. How the app going?
Why, Miss B, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I have been enjoying the app from them time there, but I tried to get a friend of mine to download the app, and she says she can't find it.
Oh, Lord, Lizzie. It look like the Love app missing from the Google Play Store, you know. And the one them have on there is the same name, but it's not the real Love FM app.
True. It's a different color app me see when my friend show me. So how the new people with Android are gonna find love now? What me fi tell my friend?
Well, I hear Love FM, the real Love FM, is working on getting that sorted out. But until then, anybody with an Android can still listen Love 101 on the website, www.love101.org. You know, having the real genuine Love 101 FM app with the red logo has a lot of advantage, because if you miss a program, you can simply rewind and listen back. And enough more things on the genuine, authentic Love 101 FM app with the red logo.
Boy, me hope them fix it soon. And like you will have your Apple phone, enough people have Android.
Me know. So let's tell everybody so them know what clock a strike.
If you already have the Love FM app on your Android device, you may still use it. However, for our listeners who are wanting to download the app on your Android device, simply listen via our website at love101.org.
Persons downloading on Apple devices will find the Love 101 FM app. Thank you for making it Love 101, the family station.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 to 5, March 29, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for the brain testing Mintize at 1:45. Prayer Blast will come your way at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Carrie Job as our worship artist of the day. At 3 p.m. inside the Drama House, we bring you Making Lemonade, Season 3, Episode 2, titled Persecution. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, March 29, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101. Hey, small people, listen up. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen. Yes, every day we have something educational and fun for you to enjoy. Plus, on a fifth Friday, you get a chance to hail up your friends and community, and you could win a prize too. That's the Small People Show, where we aim to build characters and empower our small people for the future. Remember to tell a friend and stay for the fun. It's the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on the family station, Love 101.
Yes.
Do men need to make money? And if so, how can they make more? Join us for the mailbox as we jump into discussion this Wednesday, March 29, for part 2 of Men Making Money with guests Bruce Scott and Simon Plummer. That's the mailbox, Wednesday, March 29 at 5:30 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101. Love 101, the family station, invites you to Take Time Drive. You can hear reminders and tips on why you should take time drive. Take Time Drive, a villaging of the road safety tips to help you keep safe and your head sound while driving. You only have one life. Drive it well. Take Time Drive on the family station, Love 101.
Oh, this is how we do it.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back to the host, Stokeley Marshall. Thanks for staying with us and welcome to those of you who are just joining. Now, I gather that there is a quote for which it is uncertain as to who came up with it, but it speaks to feminism, contraception, legal abortion, and the sexual revolution, that these things are making more women single and more women without children, childless. Women, it has been indicated from the quote, are also more likely to be acting or behaving like male homosexuals, engaging in hookups, friends with benefits, and what are called situationships, and being among the various unmarried women in the harem of what is described as the top 10% of males that all women desire. Now, if all of this is true, is this what success looks like for women? We have online today to discuss this Philippa Davies. She's a founder of hashtag Marriage Matters Jamaica. We should also be having online Dr. Wayne West, chair of the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society. Good morning, Philippa Davies. Good morning, Dr. West.
Good morning. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Stokeley, Dr. West. Morning.
Great, great. Now,
Ms.
what
Davis,
have
I'm not hearing her well. She's soft. I hope she's hearing me better than I'm hearing her.
I'm hearing.
Okay, I'm hearing you better now. I'm hearing you better now.
Okay.
Okay, great having you both. Good morning again. Now, what has been created by the 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 advancement of women, yes, which is good on the one hand, but it appears as if there's a downside. What has really been created? Starting with you, Philippa Davies.
Right. Well, that period of history, the sexual revolution that came to the fore in the 1960s, was about removing moral and social fences around sexual behavior and promoting the idea that you can engage in sexual behavior without consequences. Just be free and. But around that same time, the pill, contraceptive pill, also came into vogue, which also communicated the message of pregnancy-free sex. But the reality is that these social campaigns or movements may have attempted to deny or ignore biology and our whole emotional makeup as human beings, but the reality is that they can't. And so there are consequences borne by women and men to the idea that you can engage in sexual relationships or avoid pregnancy or motherhood or fatherhood, and that you would be free of those consequences, or society would not bear those consequences, but this is not so.
I see. Dr. West, any comments?
Yes. Well, as she said, there are a number of factors, philosophical as well as technological, that have allowed women, the dynamics between male and female to become similar to the dynamic between male homosexuals. Basically, what you have is the pill being introduced, and that is, or other forms of contraception that prevented women from becoming pregnant. And then you had the legal abortion. So if they became pregnant, they could get rid of the pregnancy. Together with the philosophical changes introduced by Alfred Kinsey, that people are sexual and basically should be allowed to exercise their sexual freedom, together with feminist ideology. And there are some radical feminists who see marriage as being oppression of women, and they want women to be free from it.
Oppression of
Male
women.
patriarchy.
You're
Hello?
saying oppression. Some radical feminists see marriage as oppression of women.
As oppression, yes, as something that is not in the interest of women, and
Okay.
and coming out of them, among them, because I'm not saying that they are homogenous
Dr.
groups.
West, can you hold that thought 1 second? Just when you were beginning to say something further, but we are already upon a break. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Time on Love 101 is now 7:15 a.m.
With your Visa debit card in hand, you can do it all. Pay for all your expenses and win amazing rewards like a US $7,000 home makeover, a trip for two to any Copa Airlines destination, plus US $1,000, or a staycation for two at Sandals Resorts, plus bi-weekly prizes of air fryers, gas, or supermarket vouchers. Every use of your Visa debit card gets you closer to winning. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash.
This Easter, fly down to your nearest Alliance agent and get an Easter treat when you collect your MoneyGram money transfer. Happy Easter from Alliance.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Power in great moments. If you have financial needs, Christian Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Christian Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think low, think Christian Charles.
Every day I get bigger, every day I get better. I'm a star in that shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. Every step that I take, oh yeah. Feeling great cause I'm learning, yeah. I'm a star in that shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. La 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 la. Watch me grow with Alexa Plus.
Help support their mental development at this important stage with a unique combination of nutrients from Lacta Plus. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk.
Easter times are coming and the buns are being baked. So many buns to choose from, but only one to take home. HTV is the one that's got that baked quality. Full of fruits and raisins, soft and sweet as a bun can be. So when you're buying Easter buns, look out for HTV. That's the one that's got the taste that's guaranteed to please.
HTV.
Bun.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch. The topic is the other side of a woman's success. And our guests are Dr. Wayne West and Philippa Davies. Dr. West, just before the break, you were about to make a very interesting point. Would you like to continue, sir?
Yes, so I was saying that the combination of philosophical change, a move from the Judeo-Christian worldview into secularism through Alfred Kinsey and feminist ideology, together with the technology that made it possible for women to be infertile, as it were, during sex, has caused the dynamic of the relationship between men, males and females, in the secular sphere at least, and I'm not saying it applies to all women, to be essentially identical to that of between male homosexuals. You have intimate behavior between people who are infertile. And what that has resulted in is that women, because men, men have high sex drive and are less likely to want to suppress that sex drive and so on. Women also have sex drive, let us say, but because they are now in the marketplace that is identical to that of male homosexuals, they are doing what male homosexuals do. They're hooking up. I mean, they go to bars, drink, and have casual sex one night stands. or they get into what they call friends with benefits or situationships, which are all these are relationships in which you're having sex, but there's no real commitment. And it's so far, I heard a statistic. They said that in the past, about 8% of persons would not get married, but now it's about a third. So women are becoming, basically unmarried, less marriage, childless, and behaving in their intimate behavior more and more like as male homosexual would be. This is certainly in the secular sphere. We're not saying that all women are doing it, but certainly it's something that's happening and is becoming a kind of a norm.
Philippa Davies, do you think that this is what most women really want when they're talking about career advancement? Is this some sort of unfortunate repercussion in terms of their own success, or is it that other factors have foisted this upon them?
Well, I can't speak for all women, but I would say that I don't think that this is what all women want. We have certainly been fed the narrative that you should pursue education and career and that this would be fulfilling. But as I had said earlier, that how we have been wired, how we've been designed, is that women are nurturers. We are inclined to want children and committed relationships. So at some point along that career journey, a woman might stop and say, is this what I really want for my life? Is this all that there is to a life being fulfilled? And then to realize that those maternal nurturing instincts pop up. But then she may find that at that older age, she is neither married, does not have children, or the prospects don't look promising. Several years ago, there was an article in the local Flair magazine, which is a women's magazine that comes in the Gleaner. And the title was quite telling. It was, I woke up one morning and realized I forgot to get married. I mean, a bit long, but the idea that it was capturing was that professional woman has been just dedicating her energy and effort to advancing herself, acquiring all these accolades and titles and academic qualifications and accomplishments. Wonderful. But then something kicked in at a later point and she realized there's this other side to life that is as fulfilling and perhaps even more, that was neglected. And now she's realizing she really wants the family side to give effect to this nurturing maternal instinct. What does she do then? And so I think that is a real quandary, yes, and unfortunately a sad state for many women, that they then either will drown themselves in more work or self-fulfilling with travel and other interests, or they might then try to pursue the maternal, the family life dimension that God had designed originally for us to enjoy.
Dr. West, where has the church been in all of this, in your opinion?
Oh, well, it's important. It's interesting that you asked the question, because I was looking at a documentary just about 2 or so days ago, and the data that we have, what we're speaking about, these things, come from the States, because the sociologists there do this sort of research. I am not sure what the data is like in Jamaica, but let me just say that in the United States, for example, the people who adhere to the biblical worldview and people who attend church has been declining since the 50s. So in the 1950s or so, the generation that was in their 20s, say in the 1950s, about 56% or more of them went to church. But in this new generation, what they call Gen Z and the slightly older group, the millennials, I think for millennials, I think about 25% of them go to church, and for Gen Z, about 18% of them go to church. So what you're finding is they're becoming more secular, and because they're becoming more secular and have moved away from the biblical worldview of sex ethics, they are having that problem. And interestingly, because they're having that problem, they are a very unhappy group of people. And paradoxically are having less sex, so they say, than the other generation, although that is their attitude to sex. Because what happens is that many of them are on these dating apps, and the dating apps allow high-value men to have access to women. But that's a different matter. The point I'm making is that the church has not been impacting the worldview of young people as it ought to. So I think the church needs to look at how it is delivering the message of the gospel in the context of the time. Because
Dr. Wayne West, I know I'm jumping in here, but a lot of churches have youth pastors. A lot of churches do engage in social media initiatives. So what is happening in your view?
They're not, listen, everyone acts on a worldview. They see the world in a particular way. And that worldview starts with, what do you think caused the universe to be here? The Bible starts, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the
So
earth.
it's not just about having a youth pastor, it's about the worldview of the persons ministering to, as you call it, Gen Z, the younger persons in church.
To everybody, but particularly to Gen Z. The problem is the biblical worldview is not being transferred. You can have a youth pastor, but it is said in America too, the studies show that only 35% of pastors in churches in America have a biblical worldview. So that's just about a third. And also of that 35%, less than 2% of them are willing to speak to the issues of the day because they do not want to offend, because in other words, they are politically correct. So the church is not effectively passing on the worldview, the biblical worldview, to Gen Z. And that is the problem.
By biblical worldview, you mean applying the principles of the Bible to every aspect of one's life and not confining it to only things that appear to be religious. That's what you mean?
That's right. The Bible is about how we live our lives, the choices we make as we live our lives. That's what the biblical worldview. Not what you do, not the song you sing on Sunday morning in church, is what you do in your life as you live day to day, minute by minute. And that's the
and how we even think about
pastors do not
how we even think about current affairs, for example.
Absolutely. That's what worldview is about.
Philippa Davies, what do you think can be done even at this stage to, can I say, rescue or ameliorate what seems to be quite a dire situation?
Well, if you'd allow me to just give a plug for hashtag Marriage Matters Jamaica, which I started a couple of years ago, and it's really about sharing with anyone who's interested the public goods of marriage. So it's presenting empirical research data from Jamaica across the world that shows why humanity's oldest social institution, marriage, is Jamaica's best bet to reduce violent crime, boost GDP, and improve public health. And what the information does, it just shows, drawing from economics, anthropology, history, neuroscience, sociology, what have you, why marriage is good for society. It's good for men, good for women, great for children, and the benefits just span across every domain of society. And it just shows why teaching from very early why marriage is a good thing, and not silencing discussion on marriage, not actively working against the encouragement of marriage and all the dimensions. So whether it is sexual mores, about abstinence, whether it's about valuing being male and being female, why it is understanding why children do best when raised by their married biological mother and father in a stable, low conflict home. We are contending daily with the fallout of children being neglected and rejected and abandoned, and parents neglecting their role. And we're trying to put money into all sorts of behavior modification programs, which are short term and will have short results because we're not dealing with a root issue. Children need committed moms and dads, and committed moms and dads who are committed to each other. And that
totally understand, Philippa Davies, but I just want to jump in quickly and just raise this, not to take away from anything that you're saying at all, but what about those marriages that are struggling for one reason or another, or where there's even abuse?
Right, so that also is part of encouraging a marriage healthy culture. So it's not just advocating marriage, but then advocating sustaining healthy marriages. And that is supporting men and women who are struggling in their relationships. So if we take a holistic approach, how do we want to have a sustainable economy? How do we want to achieve Vision 2030? It's not going to be simply the mechanical or the technical intervention of infrastructure, but it's actually looking at the human capital, human beings, and what do we need in order to be functioning, confident, stable, contributing members of society.
I think we might have to leave it there this morning. Very interesting discussion that we have had here in this first watch. Of course, Dr. Wayne West and yourself, Philippa Davies, you will be our guests in the second watch as well, in addressing men in sheep's clothing. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back at the morning watch.
JN Bank Small Business Loans. Tell us your business and let's turn your ambitions into reality. The time by JN Bank Small Business Loans is
7:30 and a half.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on JN Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. JN Bank will help you find a way.
Get that, whoa, juicy, and the shrimp patty brown. Shrimp patty, whoa, careful, don't burn up your mouth. Juicy, I'll be shrimp patty. One bag of flavor, then fling panny. Love it, freshly baked, the flaky crust. Make me full, me good, the gas a bus. Shrimp patty, whoa, juicy, of the flavor you love. I cheese or color, whoa, juicy, and the shrimp patty brown.
And juicy, have the shrimp patty you love. Get it today, island-wide.
There's certain moments in life you'll cherish forever. Like buying your first car, stepping into your first home, sending your child to university, starting that business you've always dreamed of. These are your great moments, and helping you achieve them is ours. Call Chris and Charles today. We have a loan for all the great moments in your life. Powering great moments since 1992. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Make an impact on your career. Earn real money. Get 3 to 4 local and international certification in practical nursing and early childhood education with free CXC or CAPE subjects in 6 to 12 months at Distinction College, located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 6 Nugent Street, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios. Earn global certificates in 3 months in geriatric nursing, phlebotomy, childcare. We have the lowest school fees around. Classes begin very soon. Call us 356-4167.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco and gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Furniture for your house, and everything for your kitchen, rugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. We have in the Daily Gleaner, Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA says it cannot guarantee normalcy if salaries remain unpaid. We move over to the Observer. I will not apologize. And these words are in relation to, well, said by the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark. Clark says, Massa Mark comment not about race, saying sorry would justify an untruth, and that story by Althea Sumner, senior staff reporter of the Observer. We now move over to Loop Jamaica News, and this headline reads, Warning for delinquent motorists, electronic warrants coming. Motorists standing are being warned that they could soon be hauled before the courts before the court without notice. And this is in relation to the recently passed Electronic Transaction Amendment Act 2023. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Of course, coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, how should the Christian church preach to and minister to men who identify as women and to women who identify as men? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 to 5 March 29, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for the brain testing synthesize at 1:45. Prayer Blast will come your way at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15 we feature Carrie Job as our worship artist of the day. At 3 p.m. inside the Drama House, we bring you Making Lemonade Season 3, Episode 2, titled Persecution. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, March 29, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Do men need to make money? And if so, how can they make more? Join us for the mailbox as we jump into discussion this Wednesday, March 29, for part 2 of Men Making Money with guests Bruce Scott and Simon Plummer. That's the mailbox, Wednesday, March 29 at 5:30 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Hey, small people, listen up. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen. Yes, every day we have something educational and fun for you to enjoy. Plus, on a fifth Friday, you get a chance to hail up your friends and community, and you could win a prize too. That's the Small People Show, where we aim to build characters and empower our small people for the future. Remember to tell a friend and stay for the fun. It's the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Jukal for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. How should the Christian church preach to and minister to men who identify as women and to women who identify as men? Jukal, I gather that you have a reply?
Yes, so I do have a reply here from Marcia. Marcia says, good morning. The church should tell them the truth, what God says. Marriage is between a man and a woman. And she left it right there.
Interesting. Well, we move right into the second watch. Thank you, Jukal. On International Women's Day, Washington Examiner.com headline reported, and this is the headline: Jill Biden gives International Women of Courage Award to transgender official. It seems a little bit out of place, clearly, for International Women's Day because, a woman is an adult female. A biological man is not a woman, but it seems as if these days people are having other views. And we continue to have as our guests for this. Well, they were our guests in the first watch, and they remain as our guests for the second watch. Dr. Wayne West, chairman of the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, the chair. And we have Philippa Davies, founder of Marriage Matters, #Marriage Matters Jamaica. Welcome back, Dr. West. Welcome back, Philippa Davies.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Thanks that you could remain with us. Now, that you're with us for both watches. Now, please explain what persons mean in these times by gender identity. We don't want to assume everyone knows what these terms mean, and they're becoming more popular in usage. Dr. West, would you like to help us there?
Okay, could you indulge me one sentence to support Ms. Davis's marriage project? In that, we were talking about marriage, what was happening in the dating scene among heterosexuals, and there's a lady called Louise Perry, a 28-year-old woman who wrote a book. She's feminist and atheist, and in the conclusion of her book, the book is "The Sexual Revolution Has Been Terrible for Women," and she makes a plug for monogamous marriage between a man and a woman. So that is, at least one feminist has come around to that.
I see. And she's a feminist. Okay.
And she's a feminist and an atheist.
Oh, and an atheist.
Yes, and she's come around to see that it's terrible out there, and she's come around to agree that we need to have. She made what she called the feminist case for monogamous marriage.
Very
so
interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving over to the second watch here now, sir. If you could define for us gender identity, what is that?
What is that? Well, that is a project that is funded by at least 3 billionaires. One of the billionaires is a guy called John.
It's a project?
Yes, it's a project. It's a project. It's a project. I'll get to it because you said that in the White House they brought a man who said he's a woman to give him the Woman of the International Woman of the Year. And I'm going to explain
He's an official from Argentina. He's a government official from Argentina. But go ahead, sir.
Right. I'm explaining to you why the White House would have done that. The transgender movement is a project undertaken by moneyed people. At least 3 billionaires are behind this thing. One is a guy called John Stryker, who his foundation is called ARCA. It supports the LGBT campaign group ILGA and Transgender Europe. He also partners with President Biden's personal foundation on advancing acceptance initiatives, which promotes early childhood transition. Now, one of the things that these groups do is they fund universities, for example. This particular group, the ARCAS group, I think they fund the Transgender Law Center and the Trans Justice Funding Project and Freedom Center for Social Justice. So what you have is big money funding, but what are they funding? They are funding a project in which a person can identify as whatever they wish to identify as, whether it's a man wishing to identify as a woman, or any of, it could be as many as 100 different things, which are things like non-binary, you name it. Once you identify as it, you are it. And they are funding this endeavor and using universities as well to do quote unquote research, a lot of which is questionable, to support the position. They also support lawyers to create laws as precedent in order to achieve this end. The other 2 billionaires who are supporting this project, where you can identify as whatever you want and you are it. It is the freedom. One of them is called the Freedom to Be Project. The other 2 billionaires is a gentleman who is the governor of Illinois, and his name is Philippa. He was one of President Obama's funders, and he funds the University of Victoria. He gave them $2 million to form what's called a chair, a professorship for transgender studies. And the 3rd billionaire who is funding this is George Soros, who also funded the case that the University of the West Indies took against Belize to remove its Buggery law. So what is gender identity? I would say that gender identity is a movement which is funded by a few rich people using universities, politicians, etc., to create anarchy. Really, it's anarchy. Whatever you are, and the society must accept you for what you identify as.
Very interesting, Philippa Davies. It appears as if if you do an internet search, you will see where persons dressing, for example, men dressing as women, reading storybooks to children in kindergarten or small children in elementary schools. What's that about Philippa Davies? And some of them are even doing shows in front of them with their parents present. Not in Jamaica, but seeing it in parts of North America. Any comments on that, Philippa Davies?
Well, we don't know if it's not happening in Jamaica, though, Stokeley. We don't know if there are schools that
You know,
are
I probably made a wrong
their
assumption. I don't know.
libraries,
You're correct. You're correct. I don't know.
book stories about, a little duck or whatever animal they would use.
Philippa Davies, we're upon another break already. If you wouldn't mind holding that thought, listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back in the morning watch.
Did you know that as a parent, you can introduce different Gerber puree flavors into your little one's diet to expand their taste and allow them to accept more flavors and textures at an early age? With Gerber, you can explore and be adventurous by giving them Gerber purees in a convenient and squeezable pouch, ready for when you're on the go. In fun flavors like apple, pear, and mango, Gerber purees are 100% natural fruit purees and do not contain preservatives. Gerber, from 6 months onward.
If you're a farmer or a fisher folk, this one's for you. Sagicor AgriCare Plan. With AgriCare Plan, you can get affordable insurance coverage for you and your family. Life insurance, critical illness coverage, or health insurance for as little as $1,700 every 3 months. Visit SagicorAgricare.com to learn more. Farmers and fisher folk, get the insurance coverage your family deserves today with Sagicor AgriCare Plan.
Ooh la la! I see what I want at the Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, wall lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. Shop in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop, come save at Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31. See you there at Phosphorus.
Power in great moments. If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Breast cancer is real. Cervical cancer is real. Heart attack and stroke are real. And so are pregnancy complications. As a woman, if you are hit with one of these critical illnesses or complications, your whole life can be turned upside down. Total Woman Insurance Plan gives you real insurance protection for up to 15 major critical illnesses, life insurance, and other benefits, including free cancer screening. Get serious about your coverage. Get real protection with Total Woman Insurance Plan from Sagicor Life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch. The topic is men in sheep's clothing. Our guests are Dr. Wayne West and Philippa Davies. Philippa Davies, you were indicating to us, well, you were outlining for us certain things in relation to men identifying as women, for example, reading stories to children as young as in elementary school and performing what are called drag shows. Continue, Philippa Davies.
Right. So the LGBT political movement cannot reproduce in and of themselves naturally. So they have to grow by stealth and theft and abuse. And so targeting children, indoctrinating them into their perverse worldview, grooming them, robbing them of their innocence, entrapping them, and then them continuing that lifestyle is how the LGBT movement will continue or desire to continue or to grow. They have to target children. And so the reading to them in the libraries across the USA or infiltrating the school curriculum to sow the seeds of male and female being normal and an acceptable option. This is how we have seen it being played out. It is in the cartoons, it is in the television shows being watched by children and young adults, and certainly adult shows, you will have the gay character or the transgender character. It's just a bombardment across the media to try and desensitize us or to get us to think that this is normal, this is acceptable, and that this should be an option in society.
Yes, and the children are the adults of the future. Now, we are also seeing where in the US, for example, there is the usage of things like puberty blockers and the conducting of various types of surgery to alter the body to appear to be that of another gender, the opposite gender. Dr. West, any comment on that?
Well, it's as I said, there are 3 billionaires who are funding this project. I can't speak to the interest. Well, I think George Soros is an artist. He basically goes against what obtains in any society. But the other two, Pritzker and John Stryker, are businessmen. And it seems as though, well, Pritzker has a brother, I think, who is a transgender. So he is pushing the transgender project by funding, like, for example, UCLA School of Law and so on, in order to get changes in the society. But there is a lot of money to be made in the medicine of transgenderism. So both Pritzker and Stryker have investment in medical companies that can gain from, if you can get 10% of your children population, say, requiring surgeries and pharmaceuticals, there's a lot of money to be made there. So both Pritzker and John Stryker have investment in companies that are investing in medical devices. So Pritzker has a company called Tawani's Enterprises. It's a private investment counterpart to the philanthropic aspect of his thing. And it invests in a company called Squadron Capital, which is a Chicago-based private investment vehicle that acquired a number of medical device companies. Because if you have men saying they are women, you will have to get medical implants. So, like I said, these billionaires are creating a market using universities, politicians, etc., and of course a media that's compliant, probably getting money as well. And they are also investing in the medicine of the thing to make a return on when all these little children who have to have their womb.
Well, Dr. West, we like to deal with facts in the morning. What you said, a media, which is probably getting money. So if you're not sure, I would ask that we not go there. But I'm not. I hold no brief for the 3 billionaires that you mentioned, whose names you mentioned. But it could be that they're just misled. It could be that they're just more. Let me finish. Let me finish, Dr. West. Let me finish, Dr. West. It could be that they're just morally misled. Someone comes to them and say, "Can you sponsor these things?" and they do it. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily it doesn't mean that they necessarily have an agenda per se. Any views on that, sir? Because how do you know that they have an agenda? It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Well, I have been informed that the pharmaceutical companies, for example, in America, if you look at American television, you would see lots of ads for pharmaceuticals. And that the pharmaceutical companies have significant investment in the media.
Okay.
I think
I was speaking about the 3 billionaires, but anyway, time is going. I want to move to the next point quickly. And the question is, do you see this movement as an attack on the Christian church and on God himself? Because clearly God made male and female. He did not make anything other than that. Philippa Davies?
I didn't hear your question, Sophie. Can you repeat it, please?
Yes. Do you see the movement as an attack on the Christian church and on God himself? Because God made male and female. He didn't make these other groups or categories.
Yes, it is quite evidently man's rebellion against God's design. It is defiance in his face to say that his design is not good and therefore they want to improve on it. And the distortions, well, there is the evidence of God is not only in our obedience, but also in our disobedience and the consequences So the unhappiness, the regret, there's so many persons who have undergone those various transition procedures, whether it's puberty blockers or taking of the testosterone or whatever hormones, and then the surgeries, and then they wake up and realize they're still unhappy, they're still not satisfied, and then there is the transition regret and all the consequences that flow from it. There's a young lady.
When you say transition regret, the fact that they had taken a surgery or used. Define for us transition. What do you mean by transition?
To persons who are male or female and desire to change to become female or male and undertake whether it is surgery or taking in medication or hormones to change their physiologically. So a girl would now grow facial hair, or her voice would deepen, or she would cut off her breasts in order to appear male. But that doesn't change fundamentally her genetic design. She's still XY. And the feelings that may have prompted or compelled her to feel that change in her outward appearance have not gone. She has not resolved whatever the underlying emotional or mental issue. And they remain even after the surgery. And it's compounded then with the regret of having undertaken this drastic approach. And yet her life has not improved. So there is a young lady in the UK, Kira Bell, who's actually suing the National Health Service, the NHS, in the UK for failing to provide her with sound counsel to address her emotional issues. She was a teenager when she went to the clinic complaining of this dissatisfaction. She was counseled to change her sex. She underwent all of the changes as they recommended. And then when she hit her 20s, she realized that she really wants to be a girl as she was born. And she's now angry and distressed at all that she had undergone, because these adults ought to have protected her, ought to have given her wise counsel, ought to have helped her through this emotional distress. And instead, they exploited her. And now she has taken them to court. And this is in the UK.
It does sound sad indeed, Philippa Davies. It sounds very sad. Dr. West, sir, whilst I did say what I said earlier in relation to, the three billionaires and, the use of the word probably in relation to the media, I will agree that you do have elements in the media that don't seem to be even having the kind of discussion we're having here this morning, sir. So what do you see going forward? Because it appears as if this movement, which you have identified, seems to be barreling down a hill. And what does society do? How does society react? How does the church react, sir?
Well, I think the defense against these things is truth. So what we need really is media like yourself who are willing to expose the truth of what's behind these agendas. And the more persons who expose it, the more people will be informed, and the more they'll be able to recognize that, we have these billionaires who are impacting universities to say certain things, lawyers to say certain things, and are creating a market that is going to destroy a lot of children. And at least some of these people who are creating this market are investing to make sure that they benefit from the changes. And of course, all of this is against God. The Bible is clear. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I think that transgender agenda seems to be rooted in just that. It's rebellion against God in order to create money, but it's going to be destroying a whole lot of lives.
Dr. West and Philippa Davies, I wish we had more time. I had two more questions to ask you. I was going to raise the issue of the Buggery Law case and the Court of Appeal decision expected this Friday, March 31, and I was going to even raise the issue of transgenderism vis-a-vis transhumanism, but alas, we're totally out of time.
That's where transgenderism is going, transhumanism.
I see. Well, that's your response if I had asked the question, sir?
That's where it's going, and you need more equipment and so on, and people are buying all this stuff and getting ready for it. Yeah, that's where it's going.
So your view is that transgenderism is heading to transhumanism. Probably need another discussion about that.
Gender, but the new thing is you can be whatever you want to be.
Understood. totally out of time. Dr. Wayne West and Philippa Davies, thank you for being with us for both watches today. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. Download our app and stay connected to us, the family station. Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marsh, and hand you back to Love in the Morning with Chicago.